It is now 7:15.
It is indeed.
I guess that's as good as any time.
Excuse me. Been suffering with some food body problems the last couple of days, so sick, so sick. Just sitting in my chair, just sleeping and then taking medicine and waking up and sleeping and taking medicine and waking up. So
What kind of medicine?
Alka-Seltzer cold, severe cold and cough. And then the lozenges, these Ricola that have like a super minty center menthol, they like kind of explode. And because my throat like closed, I couldn't swallow, and it was just very terrible. So, but we're here. And actually, that was one thing. The whole, it snowed here, so I was sick, sitting in my chair, looking outside, seeing snow all over the car, and thinking, yeah, no, we're just not going out today or whatever. And yet, see, there's a thought process. Yes, there's I'm sick. Oh, I don't want to go out today. Oh, the snow is covering the car. And yet you don't lose yourself. You know yourself in a real sense. You're not sitting there saying, oh my gosh, why am I thinking these things? Or why am I feeling this way? Or I could even see where there was an inclination to just stay in my chair in the nice covered blanket and not do anything and just stay. But again, you don't lose yourself. You still know yourself. So all of these are just illusory layers. This is how Maharaj talks about the actor. Okay, the actor or the character that the presence is playing seems to be quite disturbed by the snow all over the car, and oh my God, I have to go outside and get the snow off the car. And then, should I just stay under the nice warm blanket or go and wipe snow off the car? And yet, that's the illusion. So there's no like, because a lot of people have written in and talked about how they're having these very family problems and how some people are having problems with their kids. And then other people are talking about that the family doesn't understand their spirituality and how they're evolving and all this sort of thing. But again, that's the character that the presence is playing. And the concept of sitting there, oh, I'm sick, I don't want to wipe off the car, and I don't want to go out, and this and that's okay. Like that doesn't lose you away from yourself. When you know yourself in a real sense, that's the conviction. No matter what is seemingly happening, I know myself. It's not true. Although I may even play along with the illusion for a time, I'm not lost in the illusion. It's this character I'm playing. I'm playing John.
Right.
And John will be finished, and that character will be no more. But the one who's actually providing the power, who's actually playing John, is eternal. And eternal, of course, being a concept that came along with the body. But you were there prior to body. You're there after body. The body you're playing is not you. And hello. You have a whole lot of huge long numbers. Actually, you might want to, because this is being recorded, if that's your phone number, that's going to go out to the whole world. So let's rename you something that you're not getting phone calls from the world.
It looks longer than a phone number, though.
But 811, what would you like to call yourself?
So I don't know what number would be from.
I don't know. But what would you like to call yourself?
Mm.
Or I can just say visitor, just so if that is your phone number, it doesn't get put to the whole world, because otherwise you'll get like a lot of calls.
Mm. I just keep my identity invisible. I don't turn on the
Oh,
camera.
well, I can make you Keith. No, we just don't want to, because I know sometimes Zoom will just automatically add like whatever phone number or whatever you're from, or even your son.
Oh.
And I know when we did it with AA, you had to not have your last name, so you had to put like John R and fix that. Because you're not supposed to have like your whole first name, last name. And I will just mention one thing. Someone has, and they've emailed like 3 times, and Maharaj never commented on what others were doing, ever. And I have to say to this person who's emailed a couple of times, very upset about the ramakantmaharaj.net and how they're evolving into like less Maharaj and this one specific person. If this is disturbing you, you have to look at you and see, why is this you being disturbed? Because presence is playing all the characters. Presence is out there operating and creating all this world. Just as in a dream, if you were dreaming that one specific person was doing something that really bothered you, when you wake up, there was no specific person. There was no, and how could it be bothering you? You are that. So if that's all I'm gonna have to say about that. You are selfless self.
John,
Yes.
can I ask you something, some clarity?
Yes.
When you say, when you're doing the mantra, there is no experience, no experiencing, no experiencer. But when I do the mantra, as such, I feel I am doing the mantra. How to be like what you said? There's nothing happening. I'm not able to. I mean, I know I am doing the mantra. Where I am doing wrong, I don't know.
It's no right, no wrong. The mantra slowly, silently, and permanently erases the illusory you. Because the mantra is basically concentrating on the concentrator. You're breathing in, breathing out, sitting with mantra. As you're going about your day, mantra. As you're doing various activities, mantra. And you begin to see that there's no deed, no doer, because you're not creating an experience or having an experience. Mantra is sort of being with you. And it's erasing the illusory layers. Instead of thinking about what's going on, this is being erased, and there's spontaneous action in the moment that's being observed while the mantra is going. And now, after some time, you'll sit and you'll just listen to the mantra naturally running all the time, as it's just a natural process of breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And then it's concentration on the concentrator, which dissolves this concept of a concentrator within the concentration. Because presence to presence, consciousness to consciousness, whatever you want to call it, when you're holding consciousness with consciousness, presence with presence, just I with just I, then these illusory layers, they're just falling aside because there's no one to grasp onto them anymore. And there's no, like you say, oh, I'm doing it wrong, or I'm not getting it, or something like this, or I'm stuck with this. You're not stuck. The illusory concept of the one being stuck just hasn't been dissolved yet within the meditation. And knowing this, you don't pay attention to that one that's, quote, stuck, or that's not doing it correctly. You just pay attention to the mantra, because the mantra's job is to dissolve all the layers of illusion, or as Maharaj says, the wrong files, antivirus software. It's just removing these wrong files. And then to pay attention to the wrong file and say, oh, but this is having trouble with the mantra. No, the mantra is going to erase this wrong file. So you just keep up mantra, listening to the mantra, and often, like, that was one of the things in the very beginning. People were just sitting and doing meditation, and Maharaj tried to make very specific, clear. It's all the time. All the time you do mantra. You're in the shower, mantra. Anytime where you notice that there's a you that might be thinking a thought, concentrating on mantra, and just going about your day. I remember, walking around the office buildings at work, just mantra, 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 running, going. Then, of course, hello, I'm here to see so-and-so, then sit down, then afterwards, back with mantra, walking around the halls. And you start to see that there's no experiencer being created because the mind is kept busy with mantra. And so you can't sit there and say, oh, I'm creating this experiencer having this experience, or this thinker having thoughts. It's just spontaneous action in the moment. Everything just kind of, again, only I can describe scenes appearing and disappearing, scenes appearing and disappearing. You're not so involved in the scene, but in the moment, you're there in that scene and appearing to do whatever needs to be done. And then, whoop, next scene, new scene. Channel surfing is a good example. You click on a channel, you get involved in the program, totally involved in the program, but then you click again, boom, a new program, you're totally involved, but you're not crying about what was happening, or you're not sitting there and saying, oh, what happened in this program over here? No, you're just, okay, new scene, involved. The scene is gone, okay, new scene, involved. Good example too is that when this finishes, it just, boom, it goes away, and you go about and do something else. And that's it. So it's like there was a scene here, you were fully involved, and then now it's not. Because the scenes are appearing and disappearing before you. You are not disappearing. You are the constant. This is why the scenes can be seen. And fully in this moment, then next. And no thought of you're not creating anything or any object that can hold on to an experience. No place to hang the hat. And if there is suddenly a place to hang the hat of mantra. Okay? You know what? There's like, you're stuck in traffic. And before you start complaining about being stuck in traffic, oh, good time for mantra. I'll just sit here. Oh, look, now we're driving. We're finished, going away. That's one of the beautiful things about navigation. In the old days, if you were stuck in traffic, your mind could sit there and really beat on you about how you're going to be so late and it's going to take days and you're just stuck there like a parking lot. But now navigation says, you know what? It hasn't altered your time even 1 minute. So you're fine. Or if it does alter your time, it says, oh, 2 minutes slower or 3 minutes slower or something like that. So it's like, this is the reality. You're not You're not giving it to mind to create a scene of, oh my God, it's going to take forever to get there.
Mm.
When we do switch involvements, say in different scenes or movies or something, there is a, or there can be, but not there. Sometimes it does seem like total involvement to another total involvement, but sometimes it seems like there's an element that of not being involved also, uh, like behind the involvement.
Yeah, well, the you that you are is formless and can't move.
It's not really involved.
All the movement happens within you. That's why I don't know if you were here in the very beginning. I was talking about how I was very sick and I looked out the window and saw my car and all this, but it's like, okay, all those things were happening within the illusion, but you do not lose yourself.
Mm.
You don't have to, okay, you're playing the part. You play your part very well, but you don't have to get lost in it. And you don't create a whole story behind it of, well, I'm never going to go back, and all, nothing like this. It's just like, okay, this is happening. No, I really don't want to dump snow off my car. Well, I'm going to go do it. Okay, that's it. It happens, and then it's finished. But you don't lose you. Just like I watched Maharaj one time, and it was interesting because this guy was talking to him about the plumbing or something, and the plumbing was not good. And Maharaj was saying, like, you came, you fixed it, but it didn't get fixed. It needs to be fixed, and this and that. And I thought to myself for a brief moment, like, how can the guru worry about plumbing? Like, this seems like what? I thought he was supposed to be like, oh, and but this is every day. Like he says, it's practical spirituality. Maharaj did not lose Maharaj by telling this guy, listen, you have to fix this and make it right because it's not right. It was like the shower upstairs or something. And he's like, it's not right. And so he was talking to the guy. And it just seemed to me odd that here's this guru, this master, involved in like daily, everyday type things. But it's not odd at all. It's only odd if you believe it to be something separate and apart. And you say, oh, this is the spiritual guru, and this is like the everyday doing stuff. But no, it's one continuum, one continuous flow. The appearance from outside is these things are needing to be done, these little everyday duties. But you don't lose yourself.
Mm.
And the people that are writing in about their family issues, it's the same thing. Okay, you take care of your kids. And if your kids have special needs, or if any kind of thing is with your children, with the school or whatever, you take care of these things, but you don't lose yourself.
You can't
You
stop
can't.
you can't stop the changes from changing.
Well, and you can't lose yourself. It's not possible. You are the background to every experience. You create an experiencer seemingly having experiences in the bubble of illusion, and then you say, I'm experiencing. But the you that you are, which is the background of the experience before an experiencer is created, you are. Like you always are. You cannot not be. When all of the bodies on this screen are no more, you are. Because when we lay down and sleep at night, we dream and we see all these different various dream characters. But the dreamer that's creating all the dream characters will be there regardless of how many characters are in the dream or not. You could dream and populate a whole world of characters and intricately go into the lives of each and every one. And yet, those characters, when they are no more, the dreamer is. And then when you wake up from the dream, you know, I was all those characters, and I was none of those characters. Because it was all happening within the bubble of illusion, within the consciousness, within the dream consciousness, waking consciousness, whatever. And the waking up that we're speaking about from the dream is you know yourself in a real sense. I could not possibly be an individual.
Thank you, John.
Through all this study and paying attention to spirituality, I hear about the word oneness, and sometimes it seems like now I know what they're talking about. I feel the oneness, but it's a
But to say I feel oneness is also in duality, because how can oneness that is one of all things feel anything? It's not possible. Only within the bubble of illusion can there be the concept of oneness. Otherwise, there's just one, no need to count more, or no need to even count the one. You are. That's it. That's what you say. You are that. I am that. That's it. There's nothing other than that.
That's
Papa
why
G,
I guess the concept of oneness can just keep you running in the bubble.
Well, of course, because you sit there and you say, oh, we are all one. Well, there's no we as one. There's one masquerading as we. So you remain with your selfless self, and this concept will dissolve.
Papa
There's
G,
one-
used-
Huh?
Go ahead.
What was that?
no, I was just going to say, Papa G used to say, one is one too many.
Yes, exactly. And you don't want egoistic spirituality where you're like, oh, we are all one, om, namaste, I see the light in you and all this. That's nice. That is a progressive step until you know yourself. And again, you may see within the bubble of illusion the character bowing to another. Okay, this is fine. Because yes, okay, namaste, you're bowing to yourself in the other. But the reality is you know yourself in a real sense. You are not lost in the illusion. Practical spirituality, because you're not trying to be spiritual. You know yourself in a real sense.
Like the word oneness is kind of like it's like it reminds me of the concept of selfless self. They're good. They seem to be can sometimes I can connect with them, and they seem to be connecting me with something beyond the words.
But again, remember, connect takes two. Something connecting with something. That's why even when they talk about yoga, yoga is connecting with your own self, right? The deeper self or whatever. But don't connect. Just be. Be with you always, and then you don't need connection.
Nice.
Yeah.
You don't need yoga. You know? You don't need surrender. Be with you always. There's no need for surrender. And after you understand that this is the character that presence is currently experiencing, that you're sort of, I'm playing Keith, then Keith doesn't impress so much. Oh, this is just something the character Keith is doing. Okay. But it's all within the bubble of illusion. Just like if you were dreaming and you dreamt that this little character named Keith and this little character named John were having a conversation. When you wake up, you know, oh, it wasn't true. Both were my own self. Even though the conversation was very nice and it lasted a long time and all this, both were my own self. The character of Keith and the character of John were not true.
Mhm.
Of course, since we're using words, it seems like when I I could say, okay, I'm you're being yourself, or I'm being myself. It's still a word, and it still can be misleading. It's like
You're prior to all words. So
Mm.
throw the words away. Remain with your selfless self. That's really all you have to do. That's why Maharaj says it is very simple spirituality. Remain with your own self. If at first, okay, you're sitting, you say, oh, I want to know myself. So Maharaj says, sit, just see what's there. Just see what's there. Okay, thoughts may be coming, but you know you're not thoughts because you can observe thoughts. Thoughts come and go. You don't come and go because otherwise there'd be like blanks. You'd like suddenly disappear in the middle of thought. So you're not. You're the background on which the thoughts are appearing. Then you remain with yourself a little longer and you sense this subtle, subtle presence. Just die, just die. The feeling of existence. I exist. This is the only thing I can say is true. I exist. Now, what is this I that's existing? Just sit. Just sit with yourself. Mantra, of course. Okay, just die, just die. Subtle sense of presence. Now the subtle sense of presence, I'm going to turn my attention away from the body, the thoughts, the world, and all that, more towards the presence. I'm going to identify with this sense of presence as myself. Because I've been told through spiritual books, through masters, this sense of presence, this I am, this just I, this is you. Okay, so I'm going to identify more with this. Now I'm not so caught up in the illusory world because I know I'm presence. So I say, okay, all this occurring inside the presence that I am. And the more I remain with this sense of presence, identified with this sense of presence, there will come an understanding that this sense of presence is known. And now there's
that's when it's no longer a word. It's you just are.
you're beyond words, you're
Mm.
beyond presence, you're beyond the beyond. Without, again, these are words. You're just, it's a black hole that sucks in all concepts and nothing is. And now presence can be seen. Okay, there's presence. But presence is like the first illusory layer on which the entire world appears. And now do your job, do your duties, take care of all your responsibilities, knowing that nothing is true. No birth, no death. If I say my problems, I can't really even identify with whom these problems are. My problems would be, quote, the world's problems, because the my or I am everything. But even that is not needed. That's why you are the answer to all your questions. You are the answer to everything because you just remain.
It's weird because there there's nothing other than
Well, you hold yourself with yourself. Just, and you don't have to do this all the time. This is just this is the conviction. Oh, so that I am that. And now,
no,
just like somebody put a label on this body, John, and I answered to John, now I'm that. This is known. No matter what happens. I don't feel like taking the snow off the car, but I don't lose myself and say, oh, look at that. I'm creating a concept of a person who doesn't want to put snow off their car. No, I am this. This is illusory layers. They're coming and going. I remain.
At no time is it other than
Nothing is true. Only you are. Where all experience ends, there you are. And then there's no need for words. You can sit like it just dissolves.
no.
The illusory you cannot live long within your own self. It's like the magnifying glass and the ant gets in between and it just burns the ant away. When you're concentrating on your own self, there is no way an illusory you can be created with an identification of this is who I am. No, it can't be. And just like when you wake up from a dream, you can't say which character was more you. Now, the character you are identified with as yourself within the dream will appear to be you within the dream. And the ones that you're interacting with will not appear to be you because you're currently not identifying that character as yourself. But when you come out of the dream and you know they're all myself, then it was just the wrong identification of you with the first body form that you said, this is me. The formless sense of existence identifies with the form and says, I exist. But you existed prior to this concept, I exist. Otherwise, there couldn't be a concept, I exist. To whom would this concept appear if you were not?
I think one of the things that's always tripped me up is the sense that words can be connected to what is absolute. Like
You're prior to words.
say
Cut
the
words
word,
immediately.
like for instance, the word change. Everything could say, your mind will say, everything is absolutely change.
But again, there's no change, there's no absolute, there's no nothing. Nothing is there. Every word that you're using came along with the body, and you're not body. So that kills all words. When your mind starts to use words to try and figure something out, know
That's
that
what
you are in illusion.
it thinks it knows what that can be absolute.
Well, it's not an it. It can't think anything. You got to just cut this whole concepts of and even the value of certain things and say, well, this is valuable to me, but there should not be a me to whom this value appears.
It seems absolutely present, but it's not.
Well, see, and you can't get caught up in the words either. Absolute. What is absolute? We sit there and we say absolute is like what we call God, Paramatman, Brahman. But again, prior to body, was there an absolute? No. Was there anything? No. Did you know yourself? No. If you knew yourself prior to clicking with a body, then you would say, oh, look, this is just a form that I'm using because I know myself. But it's only yourself. There's no way for you to know yourself when you are all there is until the bubble of illusion, sense of existence clicks with the body, or even the space in the room clicks with the body and looks around and says, look at all this stuff in this room. And forgetting immediately that you're the space because the space didn't know it was space. The space has no way to observe the body within it and say, oh, there's a body over there. I think I'll click with it so I can see inside myself. No. The space is space. Object within the space takes on identification with this object for the first time, understands existence of, I am inside this room. But the space is neither inside nor outside. The body is a vessel that knows, oh, I exist. But it's not an individual body. It's not Keith and Keith's body and John's body and all this sort of stuff. Presence is one and the same. Your presence is in every being. because all of it is within the bubble of illusion. Your dream consciousness is within every being within your dream, whether it be waking or dream consciousness. Then the consciousness within the individual form believes itself to be separate and apart from the consciousness that you are. But none of that is true. You know yourself in a real sense, and you know it cannot be true. If at all you want to compare yourself to sky or space. How you were prior to beingness and how you'll be after leaving the body, that is the reality, your own true identity. This something that appeared within the nothing for a time is the illusion.
What was that you were saying once or twice in the past few weeks about if you die, the people around you will be observing that?
Yeah. When this body form is no more, we'll have a little funeral, and all the other bodies will look at this body, gone, yes? But presence has not lost or gained anything. Again, you could dream about a funeral and know the same thing. You have a dream, somebody has died in the funeral, and all the people are around, and you're viewing this person. And yet, it's all the dream consciousness that's animating all of this and creating this scene. When this body is gone, there'll be, just like, okay, Maharaj, body was gone, burned, buried. We can go on YouTube videos and see Maharaj speaking. So Maharaj is there. We can speak about Maharaj, but that Maharaj is the presence that's animating all these bodies.